Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the disclaimers, and the reason why it is so dark in here, folks, is because, this is like the third severe thunderstorm warning of the day. All right, yeah. It's fun living in Tornado Alley, kids. Fun times. Fun times. Alright, so as I usually do when I start on a different day to rant a little bit about work, today was one of those days where I supremely believed that I was placed purposely in stupid queue. What is stupid queue, you might ask? When you tell an individual that the credit card that they applied for and was approved for is already saved in their account, and they continue to babble at you about wanting to make a purchase but only getting a little paper card. Three times. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't get a single sale today. Not a single one. And that is not normal for me. A happy camper. Not even remotely. But, anyways, to the disclaimers, enough about my complaining. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. All right, folks, trigger warning one. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to go ahead and utilize your headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is very much advised. So, where we left off yesterday, and I'm sorry if I sound stuffed up, I am. Can somebody please explain to me when we gone to spring allergies to allergies all year round? Because this is some bullshit. Let's start, shall we? Further, the resident summaries and conference reports provided to FDA by JRC provide little to no detail regarding the functional assessments that had been conducted. Ah, let me guess. The JRC did not at all whatsoever provide full functional behavioral assessments that were up to the state standard, did they? Let me guess. They very vaguely alluded that there was something. That magical something. It's in the same magical land where all my lost socks are. Right? For example, information regarding assessment instruments, granular results, and reassessment results is non existent, and in many cases, they do not identify the function of the behavior. That's because the JRC doesn't know. And let me take that a step further because ABA doesn't know. They say they do, but somehow they always get it just so wrong. Because they assume, well, you're trying to get attention. You want to be approved of. The last thing I cared about in school was whether the hell anybody approved of me or not. I mean, I got the memo in kindergarten. I knew that I was not going to be the person that had all the besties. All right. I was lucky if I had one good friend in my corner until I hit about junior year in high school. All right. The fact of the matter is, what I wanted was everybody's attention off of me because attention meant bullying. So much for it. You do these bizarre things and you think you'll get like acceptance from your peers. No. I was a nihilist even as a young kid. By the time I got out about around first grade, I comprehended that there was nothing that I could do within my power that was ever going to get the approval of the neurotypicals that I had sadly been saddled with. Okay? The only people who willingly engaged with me were my fellow misfits. But the flip side on that is all the misfits were infinitely more interesting than the neurotypical bullies. So, in my opinion, I won. But that's besides the point. What I'm trying to say here before I went off into left field and took another turn and went into another left field is essentially even the so called gold standard doesn't actually really know the function of a particular behavior or from where it comes from. ABA because they arrogantly think that they know. And don't get me started on the arrogance of neurotypical doctors, or we'll be here all year. Fact of the matter is, each of these behaviors may not necessarily have a function any more than when a neurotypical gets stressed out and they punch a wall. Did punching the wall have a function? No. It was just a behavior coming out expressing the frustration of the person who's punching the wall, right? So, what caused the desire to punch the wall? ABA doesn't try to find out because they arrogantly already think they know. The JRC, having read hours of their mind numbing psychobabble pseudoscience bullshit, pretty much are the same, right? They think they know. I like the fact that the FDA is bringing it up, but I also want to point out in regards to human behavior, and yes, again, contrary to popular belief, we are human. Not every behavior, either good or bad, that we get that is stereotypical to our diagnosis necessarily has a function. Sometimes it is simply just a reaction. No different than a person getting frustrated and punching the wall, right? Just because we have certain ways of expressing ourselves in our own body language that you don't comprehend doesn't mean that fundamentally not everything has a function. We are not a robot. Some of it's just reactions that can cause us to respond in a way that makes, well, just will be nice today. Makes neurotypicals nervous, right? Instead of constantly seeking the function of the behavior, We should be determining what's bringing on the behavior. Concentrating on the function of it is, I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt here, it's stupid. It's stupid. What does it matter what the function is? Does the function have anything to do with why it happened? No. And again, not every outburst that we have, even if it looks like, as you would say, typical autistic, screw you people, you get my point. Sometimes a violent reaction is simply a violent reaction to something else. It doesn't necessarily serve a function. You know, some of you are old like me. You remember kicking your computer's hard drive to get it working again, right? Just me? Fine. Get to the root cause of the behavior. Stop missing the forest for the trees, and maybe we can finally start getting somewhere, and maybe getting some of these Kool-Aid drinkers away from the idea, well, obviously what they're doing is not working. I must go directly to violence. Thus, oh my gosh. Thus, for the minority of individuals who have undergone a documented assessment, the lack of any detail makes it difficult to identify the functions of targeted behaviors, corroborate that the assessments met accepted standards, or even that individuals were periodically reassessed. All of that is good, and functionality, I was kind of hard on it. There's certain things that do serve functions, but we got to get away with this idea that everything an autistic does, every type of behavior we emit out or seems aggressive, is not necessarily always to serve some form of function. Some of it, just like in neurotypicals, is just an expression of what we're feeling internally, just like you. Now, just because how we express it outwardly greatly differs from the way a neurotypical would do it, doesn't mean that the root cause isn't the goddamn same. Okay? I guess technically you could say the function would be to express what you were feeling internally if you want to make a bad argument. But you see where I'm going with here, right? We're not trying to cause anything to happen whenever we're having a behavior. Okay? But it's a way to express frustration. Yes, the same way a neurotypical would. And I would greatly like to see someday where everything we autistics do don't constantly be labeled with these constant medical. It's annoying, folks. It's annoying that every single little behavior that we have is immediately tossed into the autism bin and all these medical terms start flying out. Even when, in fact, we are not behaving any differently than a neurotypical would in the same situation, that behavior is going to go in the file. That file is going to follow you for the rest of your life. And every twice a month when you see your doctor, they're going to pull up that behavior from years ago, and they're going to ask you again if you've engaged in it. I wish to God I was joking. Okay? We gotta stop over medicalizing autistic folks. Okay? In a way, it's dehumanizing, and it makes us feel more like we're your science experiments than human beings. All right? Please wrap your minds around the very simple idea that sometimes just because the reaction seems odd to you doesn't mean that necessarily it's trying to serve any other kind of purpose than it would when a neurotypical does a neurotypical act of frustration. And then hopefully we can start focusing on the issues that really matter, such as what is the root cause, instead of functioning on something that really doesn't tell us anything. Thankfully, in spite of where I live, when I got diagnosed, it was by some of the best folks that are out in my region of the state. So thankfully, I didn't have to deal with someone repeatedly asking me ad nauseum, and what function were you trying to serve at the time? I was actually a bit more mouthy, even more back then than am now, if you can believe it. And it wouldn't have gone well. I was instead asked intelligent questions, such as, what was going through your mind when you had that behavior? Crazy how much you can find out when you start asking the right questions, right? We're going to go ahead and get finished up here. Oh, I already finished the sentence. Sorry, folks. It's been a long day. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So you know the drill, folks. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit those comments. I appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Smelly Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you here in a few minutes. Bye bye, everyone.